You've been strong for so long that you slowly forgot something important. Strength was never meant to replace safety. It was never meant to become the place where you live. On the outside, your life may look stable, organized, even successful. You handle responsibilities. You show up. You function. People may even admire how composed you are. But beneath that surface, there is a younger version of you who learned very early how to stay quiet, how to adapt, how to disappear just enough to avoid being hurt. You didn't grow up fast because you wanted to. You grew up fast because you had to. And that child is still there, quietly shaping the way you love, the way you trust, and the way you see yourself. Even when you're not consciously aware of it, you tell yourself the past is over, that it shouldn't matter anymore, that you're an adult now and you should know better. You remind yourself that you survived, that you're fine, that dwelling on old wounds is pointless. And yet certain moments still cut deeper than they should. A small rejection feels overwhelming. Silence feels like abandonment. A shift in someone's tone feels like danger. Criticism doesn't land as feedback, it lands as a threat. You wonder why your reactions feel so intense, why your emotions sometimes seem bigger than the situation in front of you. What you don't realize is that those reactions aren't coming from who you are now. They're coming from who you had to be then. Your inner child learned lessons long before they had the capacity to question them. They learned that love could be inconsistent, that affection might be withdrawn without warning, that being easy was safer than being honest, that needing too much could push people away. So they learned to read rooms, manage moods, anticipate disappointment, and stay one step ahead of pain. Those skills kept you emotionally alive. They helped you survive environments where safety wasn't guaranteed. But they also taught you to ignore your own needs, minimize your feelings, and equate worth with adaptability. And now, as an adult, you're still living by rules that were written for a child trying to survive, not for a grown person who deserves peace. Healing your inner child begins when you stop judging your pain and start listening to it. Not analyzing it away, not spiritualizing it into silence, not shaming yourself for still feeling it. You're not broken, dramatic, or too sensitive. You are responding exactly the way someone responds when their early needs went unmet. The anxiety, the people-pleasing, the fear of being left, the urge to prove your worth, the need to stay in control, these are not flaws in your character. They are echoes of a time when love felt uncertain and safety felt fragile. You don't heal these wounds by telling yourself to be stronger. You heal them by allowing yourself to be softer. There are parts of you that never felt protected. So now you overprotect yourself. You stay guarded. You stay alert. You assume disappointment before hope has a chance to form. There are parts of you that never felt chosen. So now you seek reassurance in subtle ways, scanning for signs that you matter, that you're wanted, that you're not about to be left behind. There are parts of you that were overlooked. So now you work harder, give more, stay longer, and tolerate more than you should, hoping that this time it will finally be enough. But no amount of effort can heal a wound that doesn't need achievement. It needs presence. It needs compassion. It needs truth. Some of your exhaustion doesn't come from your current life at all. It comes from carrying unresolved pain for years while pretending it doesn't exist. Some of your confusion comes from making adult decisions with a nervous system that learned fear before safety. Some of your sadness comes from the quiet grief of realizing you never got what you needed when you needed it most. That grief deserves space. Ignoring it doesn't make it disappear. It only teaches it to surface in other ways through anxiety, numbness, self-doubt, or patterns you can't seem to break. God was never absent from your childhood, even if it felt that way to you. He saw what you couldn't name. He noticed what others missed. He understood the things you didn't have language for yet. And He isn't asking you to erase the past or pretend it didn't hurt. He's asking you to stop carrying it alone. When Jesus welcomed children, He wasn't speaking in metaphor. He was revealing something deeply true about God's heart, that He moves toward vulnerability, not away from it. The parts of you that learn to hide, minimize, or harden are not rejected by Him. They are the very parts He wants to restore. Healing doesn't mean reliving every painful memory or blaming everyone who failed you. It means rewriting the messages you internalized from those moments. It means learning to say, "My feelings make sense," instead of, "I shouldn't feel this way." It means telling yourself, "You're allowed to need," instead of, "Don't make it a problem." It means setting boundaries without drowning in guilt, resting without shame, and asking for help without apologizing for existing. It means slowly becoming the safe place your inner child never had. This work takes patience. Old patterns won't disappear overnight. There will be moments when you catch yourself reacting from fear instead of presence, from habit instead of choice. That doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're becoming aware. Healing happens in layers, not all at once. Every time you pause instead of abandoning yourself, every time you respond with curiosity instead of criticism, every time you choose honesty over self-betrayal, something inside you softens and begins to trust again. Healing your inner child is an act of courage. It requires you to slow down in a world that rewards performance. It requires honesty instead of denial, gentleness instead of control, patience instead of urgency. It asks you to stop leaving yourself behind just because others once did. It invites you to treat your heart the way you would treat a hurting child, with steadiness, kindness, and care rather than the harshness you learn to use as motivation. You don't need to become someone new to heal. You don't need to reinvent yourself or erase who you've been. You need to come home to yourself. You need to let God meet you in the places you learn to lock away. You need to believe that the child inside you is not a problem to fix, but a part of you to love, protect, and honor. Healing happens when safety begins to replace fear, when truth replaces shame, and when compassion becomes your default response to your own pain. You are not behind. You are not weak. You are not broken. You are in the process of remembering who you were before survival became your identity. You are healing, and it's time to let that child finally rest.